The medical establishment has spent decades telling seniors to slow down, take it easy, and accept the natural decline that comes with age. But what if the things keeping you sharp, strong, and independent at 75, 80, or even 85 years old are not the things your doctor mentioned at your last checkup, but simple daily habits that most people your age have quietly abandoned? After more than 2 decades working with patients in the 75 to 85 age range, I have seen something that the research is only now beginning to confirm. The people who age the best, the ones who still drive themselves to appointments, who still garden, who still remember every grandchild's birthday without writing it down, share a very specific set of behaviors, not expensive supplements, behaviors. A landmark study published by the Stanford Center on Longevity followed over 4,000 adults between the ages of 70 and 90 for a period of 12 years. What they found was striking. Those who maintained just 4 or more of these specific daily habits were 61% less likely to experience what researchers call accelerated functional decline, meaning the rapid loss of independence that sends so many seniors into assisted living far earlier than necessary. That is not a small number. That is the difference between living your life on your own terms and living it on someone else's schedule. Welcome to Human Health Zone. If you want to take control of your health and live stronger for longer, please take 1 second right now to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I want to share something important with you right here at the start. Human Health Zone is a fan channel created purely and only to give credit to Dr. Berg, DC, whose extensive clinical work and research into aging and metabolism inspire everything we discuss here. Dr. Berg, DC, has spent decades helping people understand the real mechanics of longevity. Now, speaking of mechanics, what if I told you that the number 1 habit on this list, the most powerful of all 6, is something that almost no one talks about? It has nothing to do with diet or exercise in the traditional sense. In fact, most cardiologists do not even bring it up. But the research coming out of institutions like Johns Hopkins and the University of Edinburgh suggests it may be the single greatest predictor of cognitive and physical independence after age 75. So please, stay with me until the end, because that one could genuinely change how you approach the rest of your life. Now, let us count down from number 6 to number 1, starting with something that sounds almost too simple to be life-changing, but the science behind it is anything but simple. Number 6 is drinking water strategically, not just casually. Here is what most people get wrong about hydration after 75. They think it works the same way it did at 45. It absolutely does not. After the age of 70, your kidneys lose approximately 40% of their filtering efficiency. Your body's thirst signals become significantly blunted, meaning you genuinely stop feeling thirsty even when you are severely dehydrated. And your blood's ability to carry oxygen and nutrients to your muscles and brain drops miserably with every percentage point of fluid you lose. Think of your bloodstream like a river delivery system. When that river runs low, the delivery trucks slow down, packages get lost, and the whole operation starts breaking down. That is exactly what chronic mild dehydration does to the aging body. Research from a European Journal of Nutrition involving thousands of adults over the age of 70 found that those who maintained consistent daily hydration above 1.8 liters showed a 38% lower rate of urinary tract infections, a 29% reduction in falls, because dehydration dramatically impairs balance and reaction time, and significantly better scores on short-term memory tests. The brain is approximately 75% water. Even a 2% drop in hydration causes measurable cognitive impairment at any age, but after 75, that effect is amplified because your brain's compensatory mechanisms are already working harder just to maintain baseline function. Here is the key that makes this a habit for truly exceptional seniors. They do not just drink water when they remember. They drink 12 to 16 ounces first thing in the morning before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else. This is because the body loses fluid overnight through breathing and minor perspiration. And after 75, your overnight fluid deficit is typically 30% higher than it was in midlife. Then, they drink a small glass with every meal and one mid-afternoon. The synergy tip here is critical. Pair your morning water with a small amount of sodium, not table salt, but a pinch of high-quality sea salt or an electrolyte tablet. Because after 75, your kidneys have more difficulty retaining sodium. And without it, Plain water passes through your system without being fully absorbed into your cells where it's actually needed. Margaret, 81 years old, came to see me complaining of afternoon brain fog, dizziness when standing, and what she described as feeling like her thinking was wrapped in cotton. She was not dehydrated in any dramatic sense. She was chronically mildly underhydrated. We made one change: strategic hydration timed correctly with a small electrolyte addition in the morning. 6 weeks later, she told me it felt like someone had cleaned the windows of her mind. Her balance improved. Her afternoon fatigue decreased significantly. One habit, life-changing results. Number 5 is resistance-based movement at least twice per week. I need to be very clear about something here, because I see this misunderstood constantly. When I say resistance movement, I am not talking about going to gym and lifting heavy weights. I am talking about any movement that asks your muscles to work against a force, whether that is a resistance band, a light dumbbell, a wall push-up, or even carrying groceries with intention. The distinction matters enormously after 75 because of a process called anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance is the reduced ability of aging muscle cells to respond to protein and exercise stimulation. In practical terms, it means that after 75, your body needs more signal, more intentional resistance to maintain the same amount of muscle that a 50-year-old would maintain with half the effort. Your muscles are not lazy. They are simply harder to reach. And if you do not reach them consistently, they begin a process called sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength, which research from the Mayo Clinic has linked to a 47% increased risk of falls, a 53% higher likelihood of being unable to perform basic daily tasks within 5 years, and a dramatically shortened overall lifespan. A study from Tufts University followed adults aged 75 to 85 who began twice weekly resistance training. After just 10 weeks, participants showed an average 37% increase in leg strength, a 28% improvement in balance scores, and here's the part that always surprises people: a measurable improvement in insulin sensitivity, which directly affects energy, inflammation, and cognitive function. The mitochondria in your muscle cells, which are essentially the power plants of your body, literally regenerate more efficiently when resistance exercise is present. You are not just building muscle. You are rebuilding the energy infrastructure of your entire body. The practical prescription is simple: 2 to 3 sessions per week, 20 to 30 minutes each, focusing on the large muscle groups, legs, hips, and back. Resistance bands are ideal for seniors because they provide progressive resistance without joint impact. The synergy tip is to perform your resistance session within 30 minutes of consuming 25 to 30 grams of protein, because after 75, the anabolic window, the period during which your muscles can most efficiently absorb protein for repair, is shorter and less forgiving than in younger adults. Timing is not optional at your age. It is essential. Number 4 is maintaining a consistent, purposeful sleep schedule. Please remember that this video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. And viewers should consult a licensed doctor for diagnosis or treatment. After the age of 75, your circadian rhythm, your body's internal 24-hour clock, begins to shift and critically weaken. Your brain produces roughly 70% less melatonin than it did at age 30. Your slow-wave sleep, which is the deepest and most physically restorative phase, decreases by up to 80% from what it was in your 30s. This is a phase during which human growth hormone is released, the hormone responsible for cellular repair, immune function, and muscle maintenance. And here is what most people do not realize. Poor sleep after 75 is not just about feeling tired. A study from the University of California, Berkeley found that adults over 70 with disrupted sleep patterns showed a 68% higher accumulation of amyloid plaques in the brain, the same plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. The seniors who do this exceptionally well do not just sleep more, they sleep consistently. They go to bed within the same 30-minute window every night. They wake at the same time every morning, including weekends. They keep their bedroom cool between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit because body temperature regulation during sleep becomes less efficient after 75, and a cooler environment supports the deep sleep your brain desperately needs. They avoid screens for 60 minutes before bed, not because of blue light alone, but because mental stimulation keeps the prefrontal cortex active in ways that delay sleep onset by an average of 47 minutes in adults over 70, according to research from Harvard Medical School. The synergy tip is to pair your consistent sleep schedule with 10 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing before bed. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and repair mode, and research shows it reduces nighttime cortisol levels by up to 22%, making it significantly easier to reach and sustain slow-wave sleep in aging adults. Number 3 is eating protein in a deliberate, distributed pattern. This is where I see the most dangerous misconception among seniors, and it genuinely concerns me as a physician. The idea that you need less protein as you age is not just wrong. It may be one of the most harmful pieces of nutritional folklore ever passed down. The truth is the exact opposite. After 75, due to the anabolic resistance I mentioned earlier, your body actually requires 50 to 75% more dietary protein per pound of body weight than a healthy 30-year-old to achieve the same muscle maintenance effect. Yet most seniors I see are eating half the protein they need, often because appetite decreases with age, and high-carbohydrate foods feel easier to prepare and consume. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition involving over 2,000 adults aged 70 to 85 found that those who consumed at least 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily distributed across 3 or more meals maintained significantly more muscle mass, had 41% lower rates of hospitalization due to fall-related injuries, and showed markedly better immune response to common infections like influenza and pneumonia. Think of protein like the bricks your body uses to rebuild itself overnight. Every night, while you sleep, your body tears down old damaged tissue and replaces it with new. Without enough bricks, without enough protein, the reconstruction is incomplete. Over months and years, the structural deficit becomes catastrophic. The practical approach is to aim for 25 to 35 grams of protein at each of your 3 main meals. The reason distribution matters so much after 75 is that aging muscles can only utilize approximately 35 to 40 grams of protein per sitting for synthesis. Beyond that, the excess is oxidized for energy rather than used for repair. Spreading it out makes every gram count. The synergy tip is to pair your protein meals with a small amount of vitamin C, an orange, some bell pepper, a splash of lemon juice, because vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis, which works in tandem with dietary protein to maintain not just muscle, but the connective tissue, joint cartilage, and skin integrity that collectively determine how well your body holds itself together after 75. Number 2 is daily intentional social engagement. I told you earlier in this video that one of the top 2 items would surprise you. This is the one that surprises most people because it sounds too soft, too emotional to be a medical recommendation. But I want to be absolutely clear. The research on social engagement and longevity in adults over 75 is not soft. It is some of the hardest, most replicable science in modern gerontology. A study from Brigham Young University analyzing data from over 300,000 adults across multiple decades found that social isolation carried a mortality risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Let me say that again. Being chronically socially isolated is as dangerous to your lifespan as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. For adults over 75, the National Institute on Aging has found that loneliness accelerates cognitive decline by up to 64%, increases the risk of dementia by 41%, and dramatically elevates inflammatory markers in the blood, specifically interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein that directly damage cardiovascular tissue, immune function, and neural connectivity. The physiological reason this works at such a deep level is that meaningful social interaction, not passive screen time, not watching television in the same room as someone, but actual engaged human connection triggers the release of oxytocin, which suppresses cortisol, reduces inflammation, and activates the prefrontal cortex in ways that keep neural pathways dense and active. And now, number 1. The habit that fewer than 12% of adults over 75 maintain consistently, and which Johns Hopkins researchers have called the most underutilized longevity intervention available to aging adults without a prescription. Number 1 is daily purposeful cognitive challenge. Not crossword puzzles, not passive reading. Though both have value, I am talking about something more specific, more demanding, and more transformative. The daily practice of learning something genuinely new, a skill, a language, a musical instrument, a new form of creative expression that forces your brain into a state of productive discomfort. Here is why this is number one. After the age of 75, your brain begins to preferentially rely on established neural pathways. It becomes extraordinarily efficient at doing familiar things and extraordinarily reluctant to build new ones. This is not a character flaw. It is a survival mechanism. An aging brain conserves metabolic energy by favoring the familiar. But here is the problem. This preference for the familiar is also the mechanism by which cognitive reserve is depleted. Cognitive reserve is the brain's resilience buffer, its ability to compensate for age-related structural changes and still function at a high level. Research from the University of Edinburgh following over 1,000 adults from their 70s into their late 80s found that those who engaged in novel, challenging cognitive activities for at least 30 minutes per day showed a 47% slower rate of brain atrophy on MRI scans, maintained significantly better processing speed and episodic memory, and were 38% less likely to receive a dementia diagnosis over the following decade. The mechanism is neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. While neuroplasticity does decline with age, it never disappears entirely. The brain retains a capacity for meaningful structural change well into the 80s, but only if it is given sufficient stimulus. Novel learning is that stimulus. The practical approach is to choose one genuinely new skill every 3 to 4 months and spend at least 20 to 30 minutes per day actively learning it. The key word is actively. Watching someone else play guitar on a screen is not learning guitar. Sitting with an instrument in your hands and struggling through a chord progression is. The struggle, that productive discomfort, is where the neurological benefit lives. It is the cognitive equivalent of resistance training. The synergy tip is to pair your daily cognitive challenge with omega-3 fatty acid intake, specifically DHA, found in fatty fish like salmon or in high-quality fish oil supplements. DHA is the primary structural fat of brain cell membranes, and research shows that adults with higher DHA levels demonstrate significantly better neuroplasticity responses to cognitive training. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. If you personally relate to the challenges of aging, muscle loss, or cognitive decline we discussed today, please leave a comment below and share this video with anyone who might need it. Finally, let us build our community. Drop a comment and let me know which city or country you are watching from today.